Hey everyone, I'm Isaac Maring. I'm currently 20 years old and just barely February started of 2025. Uh, this is a little bit different video than most. This is more personal. I want to bring it back to a voice text or voice note, really, in text form that I made when I was 17, 18 years old. So it was almost 3 years ago, because it was in like the summertime, and I was going through, your younger years, right when you graduate, and especially me because I was trying to do the unthinkable. There was a lot going on at this time. I was switching over to real estate. I cut out lawn care entirely because I wanted to focus on real estate primarily and learn how to flip houses. I think at close to this time I was getting into my first flip, or I was under contract on my first flip at least. And actually, I was under contract similar timing to when I was actually graduating high school. So I was already under contract on my first flip before I graduated high school. And this is after I'd done some wholesale deals beforehand, and what made me make the switch, I was a part of communities. I've been out to Vegas and connected with and networked with a lot of people. So I knew I wanted to go bigger. And there was a lot of things in my life, there was a lot of people in my life that I had to make choices of. And I had to figure out if I could stick through it and make it work, if it made sense to go separate ways, if it was going to hold me back, if it wasn't going to allow me to be me, and on the other party too, right? Like if it wasn't going to allow them to do what they needed to do. And I needed to figure out, of course, how to manage all the stress and emotions to actually get to the real raw of what to do. And this is honestly it just came out of my brain. So I just want to get right into it. It may not be the best. It was 3 years old, or 3 years ago. So it is 3 years old. And I just spoke my mind. I think I went for a hike that day, got to the top, and just spoke my mind of all the thoughts and visions and ideas that how I really interpreted how I felt and what to do. So this is it. The intersection: pain, guilt, and uncertainty. Right now, there are a lot of things racing through my mind. Big business decisions I have to make. I've hit this crossroads where I've never been before. I had a map to get to where I am, but somehow, some way, that map escaped me just before I arrived at this intersection. It's like a three-way intersection, but I only have 2 ways to go. I don't want to go back because it feels like a jail cell I was finally able to escape. So here I am with 3 sets of cards to play. The ones from where I came from, the path where I sacrifice everything and focus solely on one thing that might bring new beginnings and lead to success, or maybe, just maybe, it's possible to combine both. Maybe that's success and fulfillment. And you might wonder if it's the right decision to put everything behind and start fresh, thinking that focusing on one thing will make a lot of money and build a big business. But maybe there's a space where you can have both. It might be hard at first to combine them, but when they're integrated, they feed each other. When one grows, so does the other. Maybe not simultaneously, but most of the time, when one expands, it fuels the other to grow bigger and better. That's the perfect balance: growing together, putting effort into both, and finding fulfillment. But sitting at this crossroads without the map to guide me, I can only see so far. The roads look very similar when you're stuck at the spotlight. Not only do I think about the pros and cons, but there's also this force, a red circle around me, holding me back. It's not just a simple stop sign. It's like a stop light. You don't just wait 3 seconds and go. You have to wait until it turns green. Cars are moving every which way, and it's unsafe to rush into either path right now. If you try, you'll be stopped dead in your tracks. Maybe literally. I need time to decipher, without a map, which path is the right one. And once that green light turns on, I'll go full force down that path. But remember, I never had a map to tell me which path leads to true fulfillment. Let's say I choose the path of new beginnings, thinking it's the only way forward to rebuild, rebrand, and leave everything behind. Maybe I'd be alone for a while, creating new connections that serve me, building a super profitable business. Millions a month. I'd think this is it. But despite the success, struggles would come. Unexpected challenges in unfamiliar environments. Sure, I'd learn a lot, but I'd also realize I missed out on a lot of things I left behind. Eventually, I'd reach a point where I have all of the money in the world, but something is missing. The road ends. A big road closed sign. I thought reaching this level of success would bring fulfillment, but now I'm stuck. Maybe I'd think I took the wrong path. But with all this money, I could afford to get back fast. Faster than it took to get here. I'd rush back to the intersection, thinking I could just take the other path. But when I get there, that path is closed too. I ask why, and they say it needed repairs. But now there's no funding. And it's not worth fixing because not many people travel it. Now I'm stuck right where I started. Sure, I have the money, but something is still missing. I thought I could go back, recover what I left behind, but it's too late. I see people down that road, happy, fulfilled, despite their own struggles. But because I pushed them away, thinking new beginnings were the answer, I can't reach that fulfillment anymore. So now I'm back at zero, with all the skills, all the money, but feeling like I have nothing. Maybe it's just too late because the path I needed is closed forever. But what if, instead of choosing one path, I'd gone down the road where both success and fulfillment were connected? It would have been messy. Potholes, mountains to climb, lakes to cross, mud to tread through. But through the struggle, they'd feed each other, grow together. Maybe not always smoothly, but they'd create balance. What if they never fully connected, though? Like magnets that repel, always pushing apart no matter how hard I tried. But maybe that tension, the pushing and pulling, was the energy that made me stronger. Even if they didn't fit perfectly, the resistance created the force I needed to grow. Or what if that resistance wasn't helping at all? What if it caused more pain and trauma, never allowing full fulfillment? What if I fought so hard to merge them, but they just weren't meant to connect? Eventually, that road would close too. And I'd find myself back at the intersection again. This is where most people get stuck. No map, no clear path. The road less traveled is filled with pain and uncertainty, which is why so few people choose it. But those who do, despite the struggle, often find true fulfillment. It's hard, it's uncomfortable, filled with setbacks, but it builds resilience. The most fulfilled people didn't find an easy path. They created one, step by step. If you never leave the jail cell, never choose a direction, you'll stay stuck. You'll never know the lessons waiting in the mud, the tools hidden in the woods, the strength found in the climb. Sometimes you have to walk. Sometimes you have to swim. Sometimes build your own damn boat. You can only hope that the path you choose, whether messy, uncertain, or filled with resistance, leads to the fulfillment you're searching for. And maybe, just maybe, the struggle itself is the fulfillment. Not the destination, but the journey. And you can only hope that when you finally reach the end of the road, it wasn't closed forever. And that was the end of what I wrote. But I remember in the moment I continued. I thought, what if you reached that end of the road, but in fact, the road might have ended, but you didn't. It might have said closed, but you just kept going. You created your own path. You got out the four-wheeler. You got out your own 2 feet, and you walked that path. You found your own trail. Maybe there was a trail. You just had to get out of your car, and you had to go find it. And then you just had to walk that path. And maybe the trail led to water, and you had to swim. Maybe it led to a cliff, and you had to find a way down. But no matter what, the easy path stopped. Maybe there ended up being no path, but you were just weaving in and out through the woods. You were weaving in and out through obstacles. You were cutting trees down. You were building forts. You were prolonging and you were pushing through. And everybody else turned around, but you said, there's still something, so I'm just going to go find it. A road doesn't just end, so I'm going to keep going. And there's no direct path. There is no direct map. You don't even know where you are. You're existing in this area that no one's ever been before. And you're the one exploring it. You're the one taking all the pain, all the heat. Everybody tried to stop you. Everybody tried to say no. Everybody tried to be a naysayer. Everybody said, that's going to be too hard. You're going to get lost. You're going to die. But you just kept going. And you figured it out. And you kept figuring things out. Because once you figured out how to keep yourself alive, you keep yourself walking, keep yourself energized, you found places to rest, figured out how to make your own boat by yourself, figured out how to get down the cliff, figured out how to get through caves, how to get over the mountains, how to get through it all. Maybe don't turn around. And if you do turn around, maybe you get back to that intersection and make your own path from there. Maybe you don't let somebody tell you that just because the road's not fixed doesn't mean you can't do something. It doesn't mean you can't go down it. But you never really know. And that's where you just have to trust your gut. That's where you have to build what's closest to you and your values and live by them. And remember, you had big dreams and you had these goals, you had these visions of what you wanted. And you might be in the mess of it, you might not really see it the same way, but you still had them and you still do. You're just in the mess of it. And you have to figure out what to do and just go do it. And just tread that path, create that new path. If that creating that new path means that's how it's going to get you to your goals, staying within your values, that could be it. And maybe not everybody will follow you in the beginning. And maybe in the beginning it might not give you absolutely everything you want or need. But it could turn into it. But I think the only way it can turn into it is if what I know now, you just align yourself so strongly. And you might not know what aligning is right now. And you might not even know how to align, or like what is even my value? What do I value? And it can be hard. Like at that time I had no idea. Like I kept trying. People kept asking me. Like I went through these seminars and trainings, and I probably went through so many values finding trainings. And I just couldn't wrap my head around figuring it out for myself. I just had to keep on pushing through. I had to figure out the things in life I actually cared about versus the things I didn't. I might have had to get shot in the foot to realize that, hey, yep, I don't value that. That's for sure. Sometimes you have to feel the pain before you can understand where you set yourself. And a lot of times, we don't have those at a younger age. We don't really know what it is. We kind of just been through this map. You've been given a map from a young age when you were a kid. Like, this is what you're going to do. You're going to turn 5 and you're going to go to kindergarten. And then you're going to go to first grade. And then there's a map until you lead up to graduation. And then you graduate. And then sometimes they try to hand you another map that says, go to this school. Try to go do this school, get this degree, whatever you want to do. And then maybe you don't want that map. Maybe you're like, that's not me. Or maybe you do take that map, and then you get through that map, and then you realize at the end of it, there is not another map for you. Oh crap. I don't know what to do now. And you just have to figure it out. You have to just be yourself. You can't let everybody direct you exactly where you need to go. You need to figure it out for yourself. And I think a lot of people don't get this until they graduate high school, because there's that big mental switch. There's that frame. There's the tornadoes. There's it like whips you off your feet and smacks you in the face because you're like, I don't do the same things I've been doing for, 13 years? I don't have the same schedule. I don't go to school at this times and have these breaks. It's like my schedule was dictated by somebody else for 13 years, for 18 years, really. Like, now I have this schedule to figure out myself. And for me at that time, like, I was already trying to be independent. I've always been wanting to I wanted my schedule myself. It still hit me because there was routines that were in place for 13 years. That's hard on any human to understand. They have a routine for a decade and switch it up. And also know that, like, everything is now past. That you have a little bit, like, you have options now. Like, you have these different directions you can go. Beforehand, it was kind of like you were just set on this direction. You were set on that path. You had that map into that path until you got to that new intersection where you were left with nothing. And that nothing conflicted every single part of you. Because now you had to make your own decision. You had to make your own choice. You had to figure it out for yourself. And if you aren't there yet, I just want you to know it's coming. And I'm not sure how much I can do to help prepare you. I don't know if you can ever fully 100% prepare, because even I myself knew that, like, I was so excited to be free. I was so excited to just finally have my own schedule. In fact, it started way sooner than that because I was lucky enough to have good administration and teachers that allowed me to go on the path I wanted to at a younger age. So I set my own schedules a lot of the time already. But even then, it might not even be your own decision or control. There's just something that just whips you up, and it's also everybody else around you. Everybody that you thought you were close with, everybody that you thought you were going to be going through life with. They're also hitting this tornado, so that maybe even if you're all set, maybe you're prepared. Not everybody else is, and it will hurt you. Because everybody else is going through this change. They're trying to make a decision. They have all these options. They don't know the path yet. They're really conflicted. They're emotionally confused. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of weight. And you get flipped up and over and sideways and thrown around like never before. And sometimes it can happen a span of like a week. It can be very quick. It's in one very quick moment of life. Especially to a human at that age that has a lot of conflicting and, desires, emotions, and plans, and people around them. It's just, there's so much outside around you that might change, that will change, actually. It will. Everything will change. And you can't make other people's decisions. You can't help other people's problems all the time. They have to fix their own problems. They have to make their own decisions. And it will affect you. There's probably someone in this world making decisions that doesn't affect you, but you will have people make decisions that will affect you. And you won't have any control over it. The only control you have is you have to know, like, hey, well, that's the past. This is where we're going now. This is it. No turning back. This is how it's going to be. And then take your own control and direct your own life. Because even though there's the outside controls, you have your own. You can decide to just follow the path of everybody else. You can just decide to go down one path of maybe destroying yourself or sitting there and not doing anything. Or you can make the other way. You can go absolutely in the right direction, but you don't know what the right direction is. The only way you can know is you just have to get smacked in the face. You just have to go towards the direction that you feel to your gut is the best way. It's going to get you where you need to go. And it will try to slap you and remind you, hey, like, whoa, this way's hard. But you still have to go. And honestly, reading back at this, it reminds me of a lot of other situations that I've been in, and I'm super like proud of my old self for even thinking this up, because it's very strong. It's very, I think, universally helpful. A lot of different points in life, especially a big moment. I think this one was more off of a big moment. It's like that big intersection. I think we have a lot of small intersections, but there's a big one, and you know what that is if you've had one before. And if you haven't, you will have it. And you might have thought that the last one was the biggest, but you could have another big one too coming up. It might have equipped you a little bit better to handle this one, though, because it gave you a little bit more confidence knowing that there's another side. You're going to get through it. That hard decisions just have to be made. You just have to cut the chains. You have to cut the little ropes, but you also have to cut the large chains that when you do, there's so much tension on them. You're pulling in opposite directions. They just whip so far back at you, and it hurts. And it hits hard. So feel free to come back to this video, save it in a folder, and just listen to that again. I think I'm going to read that again and again. I came back to it 3 years later. I just remembered after going through this run, and it was very hard for me to fully understand it at that point, because you don't, right? Like, you're very confused. You're very uncertain. You're like, I don't even know what this means. It kind of just came to my head. I don't even know what it meant. It's like, this is what it is right now. This is exactly the moment I feel is this. And the way I saw it was, if you took a big red circle around 3 playing cards that were all in each direction going exactly the opposite ways. You have 3 directions, right? In that red circle. Because you had to play in that red circle. And you were coming from one way, but you had to make a decision. I mean, you could turn back, but I don't think anybody really wants to turn back. And honestly, I don't think it was, in that moment, I wasn't in a place where turning back was really actually an option. That's not, what are you going to turn back to? I think in other situations there might be, but that door was really closed. There was nothing. So then there's all these 2 other paths. And that's where I derived this intersection. You got these 2 other paths going just like that. Way away from each other, never to see each other again. And you have to judge from that intersection just by visually looking at both of them. One might look rougher than the other, and I don't know which one would be better for you. The rougher one could be better. Everybody could be going down the nice paved one, the nice easy to walk, easy to drive. They could be going down that one. You could decide to go down the really rough one, because on the other end of it there's so much more, versus just the easy coasting path. And I think you can use that intersection a lot of different problems. Like, okay, I'm going to go this direction here. Okay, and then relationally, like, which direction? And is there too much pull? And that's where I think all of it came from, was like, I had relationships I just didn't know what to make a decision on. I didn't know how they were going. I didn't know the end result fully yet. Like, I wanted to make it work. It felt like there was a pull. And you might feel that in a relationship. And then you might feel certain things in a career. There might be a pull. There might be something that's not aligning. And you just have to find the one that truly aligns. And it doesn't give you an illusion of alignment either. And it doesn't give you an illusion of, it's fun and it's everything you wanted, because there's short-term gratification. And that could be a very big illusion to what you really, really desire. And that could be painful. So it's much easier to be like, yeah, I want to go down the easy, fun way. Why would we go down the hard way? But that might be the way you need to. And hopefully this helps you. I really think if a lot of like high schoolers or right before graduation, or even people that just graduating saw this, I think it would help you a lot. So got super vulnerable here, but I think I was finally ready to understand and fully articulate what this really meant, especially now that I'm like almost 3 years past making a decision. And I'll tell you personally, the decision was you had to break off what wasn't aligning, and the magnetic poles in each direction, or like maybe in pushes, they're pushing against each other, and you can't have those because you'll always keep pushing each other and you'll be going a different direction. And like I said, that chain will just keep getting tighter and tighter and tenser and tenser. And even if you made it stronger and stronger, eventually it snaps. And then the stronger you build it, the harder it hurts because it snaps hard and it whips hard. And like I said also, the light might not change yet. You might have to sit in it for a little bit. You might have to sit with yourself. This might not be a fast decision. This might be a decision you have to just wait for time to tell. And like to make the action, right? You might be able to like somewhat make a decision, but to actually commit and make the action, you have to wait. You just have to wait until that green light hits. Otherwise, if you get through that, you try to go through that intersection, you're done. And sometimes you do have to play the game of patience, and it's one of those things we try to teach people at a young age, like patience. Well, that's where it is. It's like you just want to go, but you need to be patient in where you are, in your emotions, in your feelings, in your where you stand, to make that proper decision where you need to go. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you guys stick along, and hopefully I helped you guys. Let me know down in the comments all your thoughts. I want to hear everything on this one, because this one's very deep, and I think maybe in like 3 years I'll come back to it again. So let me know your thoughts. Bye.